Hey number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, also known as the Wokatron, apparently depending on who I upset. And today, I'm going to tell you something really funny. I might be receiving a lawsuit for defamation, maybe even slander we could say. You know who the proponent is, who my adversary is? Well, wait for it. Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great. Well, I mean, he does have me beat when it comes to money and the sort of lawyers that he can pay for, but hey, not going down without a fight. Okay, so what the heck am I talking about? Now, there is no lawsuit. No one is trying to sue me for defamation yet, but I have been accused of slandering specifically Alexander the Great. So how about we read this comment from this, low IQ specimen of a Neanderthal individual. Let's do that. Alright, so the genius in question left a comment under one of my videos about Alexander the Great. As you can see, I've got 3 if you include the trailer. They were all pretty successful videos, but the video in question is the longest of these, which is this one here. They did what? Netflix Alexander the Great episode 1 historical analysis. And it is a deep historical analysis where we discuss all sorts of things that are not only shown on this not really great Netflix production. I mean, what did you expect? But I mean, it's not as bad as Cleopatra's documentary, but still, it wasn't really that great. But one of the things amongst the many things that we discuss on this video, as I can show you here on the list, there is, as you can see, we have sub-chapters, as I often do on my channels, and on specifically section 7, we address Alexander the Great's sexuality. And one of the reasons why we focus on that, of course, it's not the main focus on this video. There are freaking 14 separate sections, for crying out loud, and it's a half an hour deep historical analysis. But talking about Alexander's sexuality was one of the points, because, of course, it's shown on the Netflix series, and it's also something that a lot of people bring up, and there are, in fact, several videos that are entirely dedicated to this topic. In this case, it wasn't dedicated, but it was a chunky section, we could say an important section of this video nonetheless. So this generated this comment here, left by Ghost of James Madison, and we read, "No oink." Oh my gosh, oink. No oink, no, sorry, no oink on my channel. I mean, I do have links sometimes, but oink, no. No oink.
Oink, 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 I'm the best piggy.
No link in the description, I mean no oink in the description. You slandered Alexander the Great and called him a butt boy and gave no proof or links something. So.
Oink, oink.
I find it really fascinating how such a small comment and such a brief venture into this person's mind can give us so much to talk about. First and foremost, I think my response would address the idea that I fail to understand how reviewing the actual data with a team of academics, reading and translating ancient Greek, and providing an accurate analysis of Alexander the Great's sexual inclinations counts as slander. How is that slander? In order to be slander, let me read the definition, we would have to, at least according to Google, make false and damaging statement about someone, emphasizing the word false. Now, since everything that we did on that video was based on documented evidence and differently to what this individual has claimed, we did provide loads of sources. In fact, I mentioned every single source that I talk about and I read directly from the ancients. Our claims were not false, and I would like to add, they're not damaging either. How is discussing the fact that Alexander the Great was pretty much bisexual in modern terms, that he was a very powerful man born in a specific time period, we're talking about classical antiquity, where there was a completely different context anyways, and he was such a powerful and wealthy man that he could have anything he wanted, and that meant not only in terms of material goods and palaces and power and glory, territories in fact, expansion, but also of course sexual gratifications and companions of all sorts. He could have anything he wanted. And in his period of time, it wasn't necessarily unconventional to enjoy both straight relationships and also have same-sex relationships, some sort of same-sex attraction. Now, of course, it wasn't as common as some people make it sound, particularly activists, still sort of a fraction or a minority, but definitely it was more common than it would be, for example, in medieval Europe, because of course it was Christianized. With that being said, how is it damaging, how is it slanderous to talk about a man within his own time period is beyond me. particularly because the one thing that I don't understand is how Alexander the Great's sexuality has anything to do with you, ghost of James Madison. I hate that he has this name. GJM, I'll call him GJM. J, I'll call him J. How does that have anything? How does that impact your life directly? Who cares? I'm a straight man. I'm a straight man. I'm married. I have a beautiful wife. How is my life impacted if a man from thousands of years ago, based on the evidence that we have seen, was interested in same-sex, was same-sex attracted anyways? How does that change my life? If anything, reviewing the data and getting answers that can get me closer to understand how it was, how he lived, it's more power to me. And more power to you. Now, even if you are the most pro-traditional family, and I am pro-traditional family, by the way, not that it matters in this context, but even if you're like, no, traditional family, this and that, and who cares? It changes nothing, because the fact that Alexander the Great may have slept around with women and younger men doesn't mean that you have to. It doesn't mean that anyone is. This is not activism. This is history. So that is why it's completely beyond me how he would consider it to be slander of a man from classical antiquity. Then again, what am I expecting? The terminology that he uses over here, it kind of sounds like he's 13 anyways. I mean, probably 13 in the head.
Oink, oink.
So yeah, it is what it is. Of course, what's important to say is that this is a debated aspect, because at the end of the day, when we go so far back in the past, it's not easy to have complete and definitive answers. So what we presented on that video, and feel free to check it out if you want to see, as I say, section 7, is what we believe to be the most reliable and the most, we could say, informed position that we can have on the matter. But it's not definitive, and we did make that one very clear. So of course, this being a little bit of a controversial, we could say, but in general a debated discussion, there are people that won't agree, and that's absolutely fine. You can disagree with our take, bring up counter evidence, and we will happily discuss it with you in a civil manner. Obviously, you know me, I'm not one of those people that the moment you say, no, I don't think Alexander the Great, I think it was straight, I'm not going to call you a homophobe. I'm not going to call, oh, you're transphobic, homophobic. I'm not the kind of person at all. And usually I'm on the other side of the spectrum and I get attacked by that side. Well, lately I've been attacked by all sides, but whatever. I'm the one who's on the receiving end of those statements, so at the end of the day, of course I'm not going to do that. And instead, if you present and you say, hey, I disagree with you, that's fine, okay, then let's sit down and let's see why you think that instead Alexander the Great was 100% straight and never engaged in any form of same-sex relationship. But once again, you'll have to explain to me then why the statements that we presented, the evidence, the sources that we have translated and then showed on that video, why they instead appear to be pointing on the other direction, that he was instead not gay in the modern sense, but he was more close, as I say, to a bisexual in the sense that he was attracted to both men and women, because we know that he was attracted to women as well. That's also a fact. And unfortunately, one of the characteristics of these words that we read here, over here, that I'm responding to, is that they are not really the words of someone who is who wants to seek the truth, someone who's interested in knowing, okay, but what do the sources say? And then it can address that in a civil manner. No, these words ooze hate. Now, with that being said, I didn't remove the comment because I don't think that it should be illegal to hate. But then again, I think this person is very, very close-minded. And that's why I'm insulting him back. So, like, you know, I'm using my own freedom of speech. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm no psychologist, so take this with a grain of salt. I'm not pretending that now I'm going to understand all the psychology, but I don't. But what this tells me is that this person clearly they have some problems when it comes to preconceived ideas and mindsets that sort of paint everything as positive, negative, us versus them. And they're not interested in finding out what the actual sources say. It's all a matter of, this is what I want the truth to be. So it's emotionally based, not rationally based. The answers that this person seeks, and of course his decisions and the way he addresses, because of course I imagine this is something that they talk about. If someone asks them, hey, what do you think about Alexander the Great? They're going to say, no man, it was straight. Maybe he's going to tell you that same-sex attracted people never existed. They're invention of the 1950s. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm not trying to build a straw man, but I'm just saying that at the end of the day, this is clearly an emotionally based answer. And I don't care. The truth doesn't care about your feelings. The truth is the truth. And it's not easy to find it. That's why we have to always try to be as unbiased as possible. Of course, it's not possible to be 100% unbiased, but try to be unbiased, try to not interfere with the way we review the data, and try to stick to what appears to be the truth. And sometimes it will be black and white. Other times we'll have one of the multiple shades of gray that oftentimes when it comes to historical accuracy, of course, the information is presented in, and then we'll just have to make an educated guess. Now, in our case, for my team, our educated guess when it comes to Alexander the Great's sexuality was that we believe that he was probably closer to a modern-day bisexual, and that he would have enjoyed both the company of women and younger men. But of course, we are not 100% sure about this. We're just saying this is our educated guess. At the end of the day, as a team, it's not like it matters to us necessarily, emotionally. Oh no, I want him to be straight because he needs to be like me. He's not like me. He's an ancient Macedonian leader and warrior. He's a different person from a different time, and therefore he doesn't have to be exactly like me, otherwise anything else is going to be slander. That's stupid, and it's a very weak line of argumentation, and in a way it's a very childish expectation when it comes to the people that we tend to sort of present and sort of lift up as the historical generals and warriors, and oftentimes this has to do with war, but not always with war, but philosophers and speakers and thinkers of the past. Emotions are one thing. You can have your preferences, you can have your favoritism. When you look at the truth is what it is. And as I say, the truth doesn't care about your emotions and your feelings. And most importantly, there is only the truth. There is not your truth, her truth, their truth, my truth. There is none of that. There is one truth, and then we can try to figure it out together. But once again, I think the most important thing to keep in mind in this case is that Alexander the Great was a man in power within the classical period. All right, but anyways, I just wanted to address this because I thought it was funny in general. And yeah, so I don't think I slandered Alexander the Great, to be honest. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.